Jolly good, brother.
News First, Newsline with Faraz, Shauketaly.
And a jolly good morning to you. This is Newsline Live. We're broadcasting from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street, Colombo. The best place to be, actually, at this time of the morning. And to get a current political analysis, we've got somebody who's got politics inbred in the DNA. He's right here with us, former governor and former governor, President's Council, Maitri Gunaratne. Very good morning to you, Maitri. Governor and President's Council. So, back to practice?
Yes, Faraz.
Good. Well, I suppose, you know, that part of the life has to be topped up as well from time to time.
Definitely, because when I was in the central province,
Yeah.
I could not practice.
Right.
But then when I was moved to the UA,
Yeah.
I spoke to the NECHI
Right.
and got special permission. Not that you need to get it, but
Right.
I got special permission to practice.
But on the basis that there might be some sort of conflict, or
The act says that you cannot hold any place of profit.
right.
And anyway, to be on the safe side, I got special permission from the president, and I practiced maybe 1 or 2 days a week.
Right.
So that was
It helped pay the petrol bill.
It helped a lot, because after I was removed, after we tendered our resignations,
Yeah.
I could just walk in and start it and improve it.
Good. Because now you've got junior as well, haven't you? Another
Not
Gunaratne.
one, many.
But you've got a Gunaratne as a junior as well.
That's right.
Your son. Yeah. Now then, Maitri Gunaratne, what is happening in, can you give us a sort of analysis? Several issues. The temporary travel ban on a Swiss embassy staffer. That's one matter. The other also is, why the proroguement of Parliament and what effect that has? I was wondering whether you could go through all those things.
Yeah, with regard to the Swiss embassy personnel,
Yeah.
and the allegation that he or she was abducted.
Yeah.
Now, for us, this is down Gregory's Road.
Yeah.
And it's a quite populated area. It's maybe you can call it a high security area,
Right.
because there are a lot of VIP movements going on in that area, and there are many other embassies there.
Yeah.
So the first thing they should have done is made a police complaint with regard to whatever the incident which has taken place.
Right.
Now, even that is not sure. People are still in the dark whether a proper complaint has been made.
Yeah.
And now the CID and the government of Sri Lanka are calling upon them to come and make a statement to the CID. So if they are not going to make a statement with regard to any accusation, how do they expect an investigation to take place? And for us, whether we like it or not, there are other powers who are trying to destabilize Sri Lanka, and you can see the Swiss government itself. Now the Swiss Federal Court has yesterday decided that collecting funds for the LTT is not a criminal offence
In their country.
in their country, and they have discharged or acquitted 12 persons. So now this is the light in which the Swiss government is looking at one of the most brutal terrorist organizations in the world. So when these things are parallelly happening, one begins to wonder whether these are stories which are floated to somehow try to destabilize the country. If there is a charge against anyone for abduction, there should have been a complaint for us, because now if I'm told that this employee is a Sri Lankan, the Sri Lankan, so some can be up to tricks to get some complete family to move into Switzerland. I mean, that's today an average person in Sri Lanka would love to move into a foreign country
for economic reasons.
Yeah. Right. So there are many sides to this story. So in fairness, I of course feel that without a formal complaint, people just cannot say, you know, I was abducted from here, I was abducted from there,
Yeah.
and bring in wild allegations against the
Yeah.
state. And as vis-a-vis that, I don't think we should give all that credit if they do not wish to make a statement to the CID or to the police.
But so we take it that the employees at the within the premises of the Swiss embassy, which of course is sovereign territory,
Yeah.
under all sorts of conventions. So what about they could easily do a complaint using the internet, because you can complain to the IGP doing that.
Whatever
done
way,
that.
yeah, whatever way. What I'm saying is, for us, they must lodge a formal complaint.
Yeah.
If they have not, how do you expect anyone to wish what is in the minds of the Swiss embassy and conduct investigations? It is not possible. It is not possible.
It's high time these even the diplomats pay some respect to our rules and so on.
No, I don't think especially these Western countries, they think that we are still a third world, you know, colony. Although they talk about human rights and international law and all that,
Yeah.
that is only for them, and when it suits them, they use it.
Yeah.
But whereas when it comes to these countries, for us, they just they have scant respect for our laws and our regulations and our people, basically.
So it's unfortunate, and we'll wait and see how events turn out.
Yeah.
But one thing is clear, that the Sri Lankan government, through its foreign office, are already saying that there is a mismatch in the video evidence and so on.
But
that they
precisely.
have.
So for anyone to, and the other point is, for us, any complaint such as that has to be made promptly,
Yeah.
because then the evidence is fresh and you can investigate.
Yeah.
So when it is delayed, now it's almost about a week.
Yeah.
So when it's delayed like this, what happens is the evidence vanishes, and sometimes these CCTV recordings can get erased. They cannot be found, and sometimes their memory only is for so many days.
Yeah.
So when you delay it, you have created a huge issue, and ultimately you bring in another allegation against the state, saying that no investigation was done.
The flip side, and we better talk about that too, is that there is some concern that whoever is alleged to have done this was after some information as to who, especially maybe from the police, has been asking for asylum or been negotiating for asylum.
Yeah.
With the Swiss embassy, and therefore maybe to compromise some ongoing investigations and so on and so forth. So that's the flip side, isn't it?
Well, for us now, there is also another story saying that one of the main investigators
Yeah.
of the CID
Yeah.
has fled, and he has got full
That's right.
residency in Switzerland.
Yeah.
So they are trying to link that with this.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they're trying to do it.
Yeah.
But for us, what I'm saying is, even for the CID,
Yeah.
if the investigations have been done legally,
Yeah.
if the investigations have been done properly,
Yeah.
without any intention of an axe to grind,
Yeah.
I can't understand why the investigators have to run away,
Indeed.
right? Because I, as a lawyer,
Yeah.
I'm telling this with responsibility,
Yeah.
right? The CID and the police,
Yeah.
irrespective of what government is in power, their investigations are always biased. It is one-sided, and there is no proper investigation. In today's context, what is happening is, for us, when someone goes and makes a complaint, the CID, the police, what they do is,
Yeah.
they arrest everyone's name who is mentioned in the complaint,
Yeah.
without looking at the complaint in its full status,
Yeah.
and then deciding who should be accused, who should be witnesses. Most of the instances, what is happening is people who should be made witnesses are made accused. So that is why we cannot prove many of our cases. I am told when 100 cases are gone to trial, ultimately the conviction rate is only 5%. So 95 people go scot-free. My percentages may be plus or minus 10% here and there, but it is less than 10%. So the main reason for this, Faraz, is that the CID and the normal police, I don't think they are 100% aware as to how an investigation should be done. Investigation, when there is an investigation or a complaint against a person, for us, all you need to do is to record all statements and all evidence, collect all evidence against that person. And then having collected that, for us, what they can do is they can look at whom should be made a witness, who should be made the accused, and then proceed with the case. But that doesn't happen today. What happens is when a complaint is made, the complaint is taken down with influence. Someone with influence says, okay, this is my man, take this complaint down, and then from that point onwards, what happens is it's a case of harassment for everyone.
Well, I mean, a case in point, and it's relevant for me to mention this, is that when the Parliament government came in, it was a committee based in or near Temple Trees that went through different cases and then decided it's this case and this case and this case that the FCID should look into and not the others.
That's right.
So so that's an example starting right from near the top. So when that sort of culture is there, then what do
you expect? What do you expect? And these police officers, they think that these garments are going to be eternal. And they go out of their way. They try to be hired assassins to go and put people into trouble. So that is why they need to seek refuge in foreign countries. If you have done your investigations properly, if it has been fair and square, I don't think this kind of conduct is necessary. And for us, coming to the next question with regard to proroguing of Parliament.
Yes.
Now you just mentioned that there was a setup in the Parliament government which was deciding as to how these investigations should have gone forward, who should be prosecuted, who should not be prosecuted. Now stemming from that, for us, we feel that the Prime Minister, the then Prime Minister, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, he had a deal going on. He had a deal going on with the present Prime Minister. I mean, that's not a secret, because on many occasions when I was fighting in the UNP against Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, there were so many occasions where when we went to Sirikota, the road was blocked and they were tarring the road and prevented us from going there.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa wasn't the minister in charge of highways.
No, certainly wasn't.
He wasn't.
So that was one incident. Then there was another incident where we were arrested and remanded because they said that we had come and destroyed Sirikota, which was totally incorrect, because the senior DIG Colombo, Anuruddha Senaviratne, was with us at that time. When this whole thing was happening. But anyway, that is part of politics. There is no problem. So what I'm trying to say is they were working hand and glove then. That is before 2015. And 2015 to 2019, there seems to have been still a cooperation between the then president and the last prime minister. So I feel that is going on like this presently.
But is there legally or constitutionally, is there a need to prorogue Parliament?
No, there is no need. It's at the discretion of the president. But what happens is, for us now the bond report, the what do you call it?
Forensic audit.
The forensic audit report was supposed to be tendered to Parliament.
This is according to Sunil
Handuneti. So now when it is prorogued for us, all those investigations or inquiries fall by the wayside, and then it has to recommence at a new session in Parliament. So when this type of thing happens, for us, what happens is, though perpetrators get some more time to breathe, and they can get time to cover their tracks.
Yeah.
And this forensic audit, I remember in this show on many occasions,
yes,
you have been bringing it up, saying when is this forensic audit going to happen? Why hasn't it come and been brought before Parliament?
Yeah.
So on the day of at the time which this report was going to be produced to Parliament, they prorogued Parliament. So I feel for us still there is this axis working. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. That axis is still working, and I don't think the present president is privy to this.
No,
he's not involved in this, but this axis is working, and this has to be looked into.
Because there appears to be quite a lot of positive sentiment.
Oh, definitely.
With the election of President Gotabaya.
That's right.
And so, and as some say, his success will only depend if the Prime Minister allows him to get on with it.
Yeah, but one thing is, for us, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa must realize that he has got an innings to play like in a T20 match.
Right.
So there is no time for playing defensive cricket for him. It is a case of within the first 2-3 overs, he needs to thrash the ball over the boundary, and if he does not do it, because by the time the parliament election comes, which is in another 3 months' time, it's about 90 days. People are going to lose confidence, because people have immense hopes of him that he will turn this around.
Indeed.
And I sincerely feel he has that intention, he has the will, and he has the ability to do it. But for us, whether it will be allowed is the $1 million question.
Billions, some would say. Now then, what about this crisis in the United National Party? Is there a crisis?
United National Party has had a crisis maybe for the last 25 years. From the time Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe became the leader of the UNP.
25 years and approximately 16 days ago.
The crisis still continues. As long as he's there, the crisis will continue.
Right.
And I
Why
feel,
can't he just go? Does he need the job? Does he need the money?
Not the money for us. I think the job and the perks and the privileges.
Oh.
Because the leader of the opposition is the alternate prime minister.
Look, does he? Can I just ask this question, because not many people get to know about this, and maybe you know it. Has Mr. Wickremesinghe got a personal income? Is he a person of independent means, or is he really and truly dependent on the salary that he may be getting?
No, he has independent means.
Right.
He has independent.
So it's not the money.
It's not the money. It's not the money.
Right.
It's certainly not the money. He has independent means, and I think those means are quite sufficient for a few generations.
Right.
But he doesn't need money.
Right.
It is the perks and the privileges, which he's, and the status.
Right. But he's chosen well, hasn't he, by appointing his friend and confidant of some years, Akhila Viraj, as the Secretary General of the party, because it is only now that one can appreciate the importance of that.
No, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe knows the importance of the General Secretary of the United National Party,
Yeah.
and that's why he has appointed him.
Yeah.
He's no meek fish in this whole thing for us.
Right.
He knows the power of the General Secretary,
Yeah.
and he will only appoint a person who he has 1000% control over, and that's what he has done, and that's he's getting the result for that.
Right. Now then, but thank you very much for your questions, by the way, because this is not our program, this is your program, the People's Program, and do send us your questions on by SMS 0772 300 305, and Sharon will be playing a card right now. And of course, we are in conversation with former Governor and President's Counsel Maitri Gunaratne. And one of our viewers, Maitri, is saying that it's not only in Sri Lanka, in Australia too, they made a big boo-boo, and they tried to convict Mohammed Kamal Nizamdeen, do you
Yes.
remember? He was freed, and we believe now suing the Australian state about now suing the system actually.
Yeah.
So they made the boo-boo, but at least they were man enough to admit and release the young man, because it was clearly he was the subject of a fix, and there's somebody else now being charged.
Yes.
For that. So over there at least they made a boo-boo, admitted it, they're getting on with it.
Yeah.
And then it's sad then that when you look at countries like Switzerland saying that the LTT are not a terrorist organization.
That's the thing for
It's
us.
very, very, very sad, because for the same offense of collecting money, I think it was in Canada that somebody else was convicted. And so we must put that in play. And in Britain, the politics has become so marginal there that clearly the diaspora vote has, in at least 14 constituencies around London, has become so critical that the Conservative Party have mentioned Sri Lanka by name.
Yeah.
And so on. So it is not only a UK national government issue. One of the parties, one of the principal parties, has recognized this and is riding on that too as part of their manifesto. So it is even more critical that Sri Lanka, is it not, that Sri Lanka addresses these issues incisively and decisively.
Now, for us, at least, I think the present president will address it fair and square.
Yes.
That is one thing we can 100% be rest assured.
Right.
He's not going to beat about the bush.
Yeah.
Right. And the other thing is, for us now, these very governments, these Western governments, all this is being done for various votes and various power balances which their constituencies are having, and that's a result. They're making these cries.
You see, while you say that, Maitri, while you say that, in Australia, they were playing around with the future of a PhD student.
Yeah.
And that wasn't fair.
No, I know. Not that I'm saying what those. I was one person who was totally opposed to what those Australian people did to that boy.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is, for us, you can see now in Western countries, there are Islamic radical organizations which have taken control of certain areas, and now those areas are basically under their control. So is the British government or the Swiss government or any government in those European countries, are they willing to give them a separate like a council or a separate state or a separate whatever you can area for them to conduct Sharia law and do according to that? Are they willing to do that?
The self-governing interim administration of Tamil Eelam.
Are they willing to do that? Are they willing to do that? So, I mean, they must be very careful of what they are trying to do now, because this is going to come back like a boomerang. It is going to come back on them. This has happened now when we were having terrorism for the last 30 years. All these Western governments supported them. Then ultimately it turned around with this Al-Qaeda. With the Al-Qaeda strikes and Al-Qaeda coming in only, it turned around. And then they were in the same predicament that we were in. And then they begin to realize that these terrorists have to be completely knocked out.
Indeed.
Right?
Indeed. And that is what even happened in the United States.
Definitely.
Because in the US, they until the attacks on the Twin Towers, the Americans thought that this was something they didn't enjoy the gravity of.
No way. So it has to happen to them fairly and squarely. Then only they will realize.
Right.
Then only they will realize.
So in the context of everything that we've been saying, it appears too that good governance and strong governance will require an equally robust opposition led by a opposition leader who has got it in him or her to conduct that business, because being the leader of the opposition is not something to be scoffed at, is it?
No, for us, that is the most important role in a democracy. The role of the leader of the opposition is the most important role of in a democracy. Now, for instance, for us, you take Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa. He went into opposition in 2015.
Right.
They did not rest. They did not go to sleep. They reorganized, and within 4.5 years, they have made a comeback.
Right.
So, and within that 4.5 years, they exposed every misdoing or wrongdoing of the Yahapalana government.
Yeah.
But
the Yahapalana government appeared unable to prove what their government did.
Yeah, that's because of various deals and agreements which they had.
Yeah.
But basically, for us,
but it's a crying shame that there were only a few odd cases,
precisely,
and really of no great national importance. You know, we had Sajin Vasgunawardena, who was locked up for about 6 months, on and off, and then he was fined 1,000 rupees for not handing in his asset declaration. Really, 1,000 rupees? Perhaps he had to do an IPO to collect that money. I don't know. And the stock market is booming now. Oh well, it's positive. The sentiment is positive.
That's good.
And so the future is looking bright with President Gotabaya in there. But events such as what's happened at the Swiss embassy and so on spells out for our foreign minister, Dinesh Gunawardena, that he's got his work cut out, including the fact that the Conservative Party is promoting a two-state system in Sri Lanka.
And some other countries.
I think that, and some other countries too. I think that's completely out of order for another country. And it is really, how can a party get involved in the politics of another country, for heaven's sake?
Now, for us, it is because now Conservative Party, some of the MPs are relying on the vote of the diaspora.
Yeah.
So then they are coming and echoing the sentiments of what the diaspora wants. They are trying to pacify the diaspora. So by saying this kind of thing, they can go and solicit their vote.
And who's Ranil Wickremesinghe pacifying in that case? By not stepping down or not,
He's pacifying himself.
Right.
Because not stepping down, he's the net beneficiary, not the country.
Right. Or his party.
Or his party.
Well, actually, or the party of which he is the leader and a member of, not
Definitely.
his party, although it appears that it is his party.
No, but for us now, with regard to this, I feel that now Mr. Sajid Premadasa should not go and ask for the job of being opposition leader.
Yeah.
He should be asking for the position of party leader if he's interested in making a comeback during the parliamentary election.
Right.
Because by being opposition leader and not having the party leadership, how can you reorganize and face the next election?
Yeah.
So if anyone is serious of gaining power at the next parliamentary election,
yeah,
then you need to be Mr. Sajid Premadasa needs to be the leader of the United National Party and not the leader of the opposition. I can't understand the logic of this claim.
Because obviously they're struggling with letting Mr. Wickremesinghe go with some grace.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen, because with the proroguing of Parliament, this whole thing is going to be dragged on till January 3rd. So after January 3rd, it's only another 30-40 days for the term to end, or for Parliament to be dissolved under the present constitution. So by 2nd of March, once it's dissolved, then anyway the leader of the opposition is no more. And what will be most prominent at that time is the leader of the United National Party.
Why prorogue Parliament? Very quickly, why prorogue Parliament though?
For us, I can't understand why they needed to prorogue Parliament.
Yeah.
The only reason is to scuttle these reports being submitted to Parliament, and there may have been various names in those reports which are sometimes who are holding present positions even in this government. So maybe as a result of that, they have prorogued, and it is, I think, paying another IOU with regard to the bond scam.
And although the second bond scam is, according to the central bank, being the subject of a forensic audit, we have always maintained that no proper investigation surrounding the issuance of the second bond has taken place, because the Presidential Commission didn't have the remit to do that. Their remit finished on the day the second bond was issued. And I'd like to, I'm doing that for clarity, because there is some consternation at the central bank that is, we can saying the wrong thing. We're not saying the wrong thing, we're saying the right thing. There was no proper investigation, legal investigation, on the lines of the first bond in terms of the second bond, although the second bond is apparently the subject of a forensic audit for which we have no details.
Yeah, for us, do you need to have an investigation to do a forensic audit?
No, I don't think you do.
I don't think.
No, you don't need it.
So,
but there is also another school of thought that it is not the central bank that ought to be doing the forensic audit, because it is they who did the issuance of the bonds.
Yes,
so it should have been some independent body.
Yeah, but isn't it an independent body which has done
but
the
it's
forensic?
they're choosing. You see, they're the client.
Okay.
They're the client. It's they have chosen the.
So he who pays the piper calls the tune.
Well, that kind of thing. And it's you know, I hope that we've spurred public debate on that one, that's the way it is. We've come to the end of the time. I'm being told by the control room that we must give it all back to them.
Thank you.
So, Maitri Granata, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Faraz.
Thank you, and I'm sure that we'll have more details on all sorts of things that are happening right now, including the Swiss Embassy matter and the leader of the opposition matter, and other very invaluable matters that will spur democracy in Sri Lanka. Maitri Granata, thank you very much, and that's the way it was on Newsline Live. Take care, have a wonderful day ahead of you, and of course, God bless.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.
Ho, ho, ho!